In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to play Ultron in Marvel Rivals. Ultron has very mixed opinions in this game, even though he's only been out for one day. A lot of people just say that he's terrible, and honestly, he's just best to be a third healer. For me, I don't really think he's too bad as long as you know how to play him correctly. We're going to go over his playstyle, his abilities, and how to play him effectively so you won't be like, man, this guy sucks. So starting off with his normal attack is his the ray, whatever that word is.
Encephala.
Essentially what it is a burning energy beam, and the beam does several small ticks of damage followed by one high damage blast. The best thing about this ability is it has no damage drop off. That means if you can see an enemy, you could hit them, especially if they're flying and being annoying, and you could just chip away at their health. His primary healing ability is going to be his imperative patch. With his ability, you just look at one of your teammates and it commands a giant drone to follow the ally, which constantly heals them within a radius. And obviously other teammates that are inside of that circle will also get healed as well. His other healing ability, imperative firewall, summons drones to grant bonus health to nearby allies centered on Ultron, as well as the ally that is marked with the imperative patch. He also does have an ability called dynamic flight, which essentially lets him fly in the direction of movement and enter an accelerated state. And his ultimate, Rage of Ultron, summons Ultron drones to fire encephalo rays, hopefully I said that right, which could either damage enemies or heal allies. And he does have a team-up ability with Iron Man called Nano Ray, which enhances his primary attack to a nano ray that pierces through characters, dealing massive damage to enemies and also heals allies. In terms of Ultron's playstyle, he's not necessarily just going to be a healer nor just going to be a DPS. He's going to be a little bit of both. And that's what I think a lot of people criticize Ultron for, not just being 100% a healer. When I play Ultron, what I like to do is I like to stick towards the back line so I'm close to the teammates just in case that they need healing, and if there's an opportunity that arises where I can take out someone like a DPS or a flanker, I also do that as well. So it's a little bit of both. Imperative Patch is one of Ultron's best healing abilities, so what you want to do, it's a good idea to go ahead and put this on your team's Vanguard, or if you have a teammate that's going to be flanking the enemy team and might need the extra health, it might be a good idea to put on them as well. It makes a lot of sense to put it on your team's Vanguard because they're going to be the ones usually at the very front lines of the battle, and there's usually going to be some damage and maybe even supports that are going to be close to them, and since this ability is area of effect, you want to make sure you can get as many teammates as you can in that radius so they can constantly get healing. I also do want to note that with Imperative Patch, there is no cooldown, so you can switch between targets as necessary. So if you have two tanks in your team and one of them is low health, simply just switch it over to him. And also the drones that heal your teammates also cannot be destroyed, so that's also a very good thing to mention. The only downside to Imperative Patch is that there is a limited range between you and your healing drone, so if you do fly too far, your drone will be offline and you have to go closer to your teammates again and reactivate that ability. And the drone will also go offline if you lose line of sight to it, so just keep that in mind as well. What I like to do with this imperative firewall, like I said, I like to stick on the back line, so I want to make sure before I use this ability that I'm as close to as many teammates as I can, because this is also an area of effect ability, so the closer you are to your teammates, they'll be able to get that bonus health as well, so you want to be somewhat close to your teammates. So honestly, even though Ultron is a flying character, it's not really a good idea to be too far away from your team, because like I said, the patch and the firewall abilities both rely on you on being somewhat close to your team, so just keep that in mind. Going back to his ultimate, the Rage of Ultron, I've really noticed that I'm able to get it pretty quickly. I don't know if that's just a thing in the game. As I mentioned before, it does damage and heals allies, so what I like to do is when I pop my ultimate, I want to make sure my teammates are good, make sure that their healing is good, and then I might switch my focus over to the enemy healers or damage. If I can see someone isolated, I'll try to take them out. But what I like to do personally, like I said, is prioritize the healing ability of his ultimate rather than the damage. His ultimates can be really good at countering other ults as well, so if someone is doing an ult and your teammates could pretty much die by it, you can activate your ult and simply just shoot your teammates so they constantly get that health. His dynamic flight does give him some mobility in the air, but it's not as fast as you think, so it's not really a good idea to be really out in the open. It's a good idea to be closer to your team, maybe behind indestructible cover. And his team-up ability with Iron Man is actually really, really good. A lot of the criticism with Ultron is that he's not a good healer, so having an extra ability that allows him to heal his teammates rather than just the imperative patch and firewall is pretty huge. And I do want to mention that his team-up with Iron Man does have a 30-second cooldown, and that cooldown starts whenever you activate the ability, so likely when it's done, it'll be more like a 22-second cooldown. It's also important to note that Ultron can heal himself. He can heal himself with both the patch and the firewall. Simply, you just have to go into the area of effect of the patch, that little circle, to heal yourself if possible. Your dynamic flight is really your only means of evading dives and flankers, so make sure you always have that when you're in a sticky situation, so you can have a little bit of time to use that ability and get either back to your team or behind cover to avoid dying. As I mentioned before, you can farm your ultimate with Ultron. A full duration of the Nano Ray ability on just 2 heroes will apparently grant you about 40% of your ult charge. So hopefully this information did help. If you did find value in this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Let me know down below which hero you'd like to see next covered on the channel, and there's some videos on the screen if you're interested. Thank you again for watching.